Pattaya is one of those destinations in Thailand that is not only idealistic for the tropical climate, but also because of its rich and very unique nightlife. This is why many travelers plan on spending a couple of nights in Pattaya. But with the rich nightlife comes a bit of danger as well. Rife with tourism, many scams and criminals are looking to take advantage of you while you stroll the streets in search of a good time. This is why many suggest never traveling to this Thai destination alone. If you plan to travel there, whether you're traveling in a group or alone, there are still some rules that you should pay attention to when visiting Pattaya. In this video, we're going to give you 10 of those rules that we think will help protect you from harm and being the victim of crime while spending a little time in Thailand's most visited nightlife destination. Number 10. Keep your phone in your pocket. Most of our lives are all compartmentalized in that little piece of technology we carry in our pockets. Not only are our phones where we keep our memories, but pertinent information on all of our travel needs. That being said, losing it could wind up being a tragic loss. It's very tempting for pickpockets and street criminals when they see a phone sitting on the table as you're devouring some delicious Thai food. There are many scams where children will keep you busy, while one of their partners in crime can nab the phone off the table. To keep that from happening, make sure that you keep your phone in your front pocket at all times. This keeps it out of the view of potential pickpockets and thieves and ensures that even if they are going to reach into your pocket, you most likely will feel it. Number 9. Carry purse away from the roadside. If you spend any time in Pattaya, you know that there are tons of alleys and streets where pedestrians and mopeds share the space. This leaves you open for potential theft, especially if you're an individual carrying a bag or purse. There are many instances where criminals and thieves ride along the street and grab people's bags, ripping them off their shoulders and taking off with all their possessions. So, to keep this from happening, if you're going to carry a backpack or purse, you want to carry it on the opposite side of your body, away from the street. Another quick tip is to always wear it cross-body as opposed to simply slung over your shoulder. This will prevent them from having access to ripping it off your shoulder and make it much more difficult for them to steal your valuables. Number 8. Look at reviews for massage parlors. If you're visiting Pattaya or Thailand in general, one of the biggest things that you're probably looking forward to is a nice massage. But because of Pattaya's more adult entertainment-like focus, you may find yourself in a massage parlor unlike any you've been in before. On top of that, many will begin adding fees and rates once you've already laid down in the massage parlor itself. To make sure you are visiting a reputable massage parlor and not winding up in some very sticky situation, reading the reviews on sites like Yelp is highly suggested. Make sure that the reviews you're reading are from trusted review sites, not the ones on the actual website of the massage parlor. Many of those have been written by people that have never even set foot in that massage parlor. We have an entire video on this, so be sure to check it out. Number 7. Don't take taxis. Listening to the first 2 tips we had, you may think that a safer option to keep you and your personal items safe is to have a taxi take you from place to place. But just like everything else in this city, there are even taxi drivers that like to scam tourists out of their hard-earned money. In fact, some will even get violent during arguments knowing that the government is going to back them as opposed to the tourists. This means they can feel they can get away with pretty much anything, including charging you way more than should be charged. So, if you're going to opt to take a taxi, make sure that you settle on a rate before you enter the taxi. If you insist on using the meter, make sure it is working properly and that you keep an eye on it at all times. After all, the last thing you want to do is get into an argument with a taxi driver where the cops had to get involved and you waste time and money on something that most likely is not going to wind up in your favor. Number 6. Avoid scams. If you've been to many tourist destinations, you know that some people like to get the most from those that stroll down their streets. Sometimes this means legitimate businesses, and other times it means taking a shortcut and concocting scams to remove the cash from those tourists' hands. Pattaya is rife with street criminals and scammers. From the daytime and the jet ski scams to the nighttime scams of massage parlors charging for all kinds of exorbitant services, you have to be cautious when dealing with individuals you meet on the street. A good rule of thumb is that if you feel something isn't quite right, walk away. Walking away may cause them to get irate with you and even scream at you, but in the long run, it will protect your wallet and allow you to stay on budget so that you can enjoy the nightlife and everything that Pattaya has to offer. Number 5. Don't plan a long stay. There are plenty of places to see in Thailand that have wonderful nightlife and beautiful beaches. Of course, we understand wanting to take a little time to check out Pattaya due to its reputation of having a unique and one-of-a-kind experience nightlife, but staying more than a couple of days may be just tempting fate. After all, as we said, crime rates are high here, and the longer you stay in a place, the longer it is likely that you're going to be a victim of that crime. Taking into account these tips we are giving you may not be enough to protect you from the plethora of pickpockets and thieves that abound through the city. By only staying a couple of days, you're limiting your exposure to this, and yet still being able to explore and take part in wonderful adventures within this unique and beautiful city. Number 4. Stay in groups. If you're traveling to Pattaya, we seriously suggest you travel in groups. If, however, you are a solo traveler staying in hostels where you can find other travelers to go out on the town with is advisable. Being alone will draw attention to you and make you a heightened target for those scammers and thieves because they know that you don't have anybody watching your back. So, if you're going to stroll out in the evening hours to take in the Pattaya nightlife, make sure you go with some friends. Not only will this keep you safe, but it will help make the night even more memorable. Plus, you'll have people to share the memories of that evening with, and that is what travel is all about. Number 3. Don't swim at beaches. We know that the majority of you are probably going to hit the beaches during the daylight hours, but the Pattaya nightlife gets a little crazy, and who knows what will happen after a long night of adult entertainment. We highly suggest that no matter how many of those adult beverages you have, that you stay away from swimming in the beaches that are actually in Pattaya. The beaches themselves tend to be riddled with garbage, and sometimes the water is even contaminated by the sewers of Pattaya during the daylight hours. Enjoy places like Jamtin Beach instead. After all, no one wants to get sick from swimming in contaminated water and not be able to enjoy their time in this beautiful tropical country. Stay away from illegal substances. There are a lot of things that are overlooked in Pattaya that might not be overlooked so much so in other cities and countries. But one thing that is highly policed is illegal substances. The last thing you want to do is find yourself wrapped up with police because you have either been around someone or found yourself partaking in illegal substances. In order to prevent this, simply stay away from them. It might be tempting, and you might want to experience something of this nature, but it's not worth finding yourself in a Thai jail and trying to find ways to get out of it. Number 1. Not a family destination. The last piece of advice goes without saying. Though we have suggested that you should really travel to Pattaya in groups, that groups should not encompass children. This destination is an adult-like resort town, and children will have limited activities and potentially be exposed to some very questionable things. No parent wants to have to answer those questions at such an early age while trying to enjoy a family vacation. So, it's best if you're traveling in groups that those groups be consisting of adults who understand where and what they're getting into. So, you see, Pattaya is a great destination because of its stunning scenery and energetic nightlife, but it does come with some perils and challenges. Overall though, it is an amazing city that keeps us coming back and it's a lot to offer. Just make sure you're careful.